What if I told you that the smashed burger, the burger style that every trendy restaurant in America has been serving for the last decade, the burger with the crispy, lacy edges and the caramelized onion pressed directly into the meat, was invented in 1922 not as a culinary innovation but as an act of desperation by a burger stand owner on Route 66 who was trying to feed striking railroad workers without enough beef? That the dish was made with 50% onion and 50% beef because onions were cheap and beef was not, and that it accidentally became one of the greatest burgers in American history? That every May, the town of El Reno, Oklahoma, closes its streets and the fire department cooks an 800-pound version of this burger. Oklahoma, where the food is honest, the portions are large, and the burger was invented by necessity. It is 1922. The Great Railroad Strike has just begun. On July 1st, 400,000 railway workers across the nation walked off the job in search of better pay after their wages were cut by an average of 13% in the aftermath of World War I. In El Reno, Oklahoma, a small town at the intersection of Route 66 and U.S. Route 81, 35 miles west of Oklahoma City, a man named Ross Davis had just opened the Hamburger Inn near a tram stop in the center of town. The striking railroad workers needed to eat. Beef was expensive, onions were cheap. Ross Davis had an idea. He began smashing a large handful of finely sliced onions directly into the beef patty on the griddle, pressing the onion into the meat with a spatula until the two became one thing. The onions cooked into the beef as the burger fried, caramelizing and crisping at the edges, infusing the meat with sweetness and moisture. He eventually arrived at a ratio of 50% beef and 50% onion per patty. He sold them for 5 cents. He called them depression burgers. The smell of onions cooking on the griddle drifted from the Hamburger Inn to the tram stop. Passengers stepped off the tram and followed their noses. The Hamburger Inn became a destination. Other burger joints in El Reno adopted the style. Robert's Grill opened in 1926 using the same technique. Johnny's Hamburgers followed in the 1940s. Sid's Diner in the 1980s. Today, El Reno has 3 dedicated fried onion burger joints on the same stretch of Route 66, all making the same burger from the same basic recipe. On the first weekend of May every year, El Reno closes its main streets, and the fire department cooks an 800-pound fried onion burger, the world's largest, for thousands of visitors who come to the Fried Onion Burger Day Festival. The burger that was invented to stretch beef during a railroad strike feeds a crowd of thousands once a year in the town where it was born. Oklahoma is home to 39 federally recognized Native American nations, more than any other state. The 5 civilized tribes, Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole, were forcibly relocated to what was then called Indian Territory in the 1830s during the Trail of Tears. Other nations followed. The result is a state where indigenous culture, language, and food traditions have been maintained with an intensity that exists nowhere else in the continental United States. Fry bread, the flat, puffy fried dough that is simultaneously a symbol of resilience and a reminder of forced removal, is made from commodity ingredients: white flour, salt, baking powder, and water or milk fried in oil until golden and puffed. It was developed by indigenous peoples who were given government commodity foods after being removed from their land and forced to cook with ingredients they had never used before. The Indian taco, fry bread topped with seasoned ground beef or bison, pinto beans, shredded cheese, lettuce, tomato, onion, and sour cream or salsa, became the most recognizable Native American food at powwows, at tribal festivals, at state fairs across Oklahoma. It is the food of celebration and of community, served at every gathering where indigenous Oklahomans come together. The Indian taco is controversial within Native American communities. Some view fry bread and the Indian taco as a reminder of the displacement that produced them, others as a symbol of survival and adaptation. Texas and Oklahoma have been arguing about chicken fried steak for as long as both states have had steaks to fry. Oklahoma has the stronger institutional claim. Chicken fried steak was designated the official state meal of Oklahoma in 1988, part of a full Oklahoma meal that includes fried okra, cornbread, barbecue pork, squash, biscuits, sausage and gravy, grits, corn, strawberries, and pecan pie. A chicken fried steak is a beef cube steak, mechanically tenderized, pounded thin, dredged in seasoned flour, dipped in egg wash, coated in flour again, and fried in oil until the crust is golden and crackling like fried chicken. It is served with white cream gravy, made from the pan drippings, milk, and black pepper, over the steak and the mashed potatoes that accompany it. The German and Czech immigrant communities of central Oklahoma adapted the Wiener Schnitzel technique to American beef and American tastes in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The Oklahoma Panhandle cattle industry provided the beef. The result was a dish that fed ranch workers, farm families, and small-town Oklahoma for generations. Ann's Chicken Fry House in Oklahoma City has been serving chicken fried steak since 1971. The Cattleman's Steakhouse in Oklahoma City's Stockyards district has been open since 1910. The Czech and Slovak immigrants who arrived in central Oklahoma in the late 19th century brought with them one of the great Central European pastry traditions, the kolache. A kolache is a sweet yeast roll with a depression in the center filled with fruit, poppy seed paste, or sweetened cheese. The Czech communities of Oklahoma, particularly in the towns of Prague, Yukon, and Yukon's surrounding communities, maintained the kolache tradition with exceptional fidelity. Prague, Oklahoma, named after the Czech capital, pronounced Prague rather than Prague, declares itself the kolache capital of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma kolache is made from a soft, slightly sweet-enriched dough, dimpled in the center, filled with prune or apricot or poppy seed filling, and baked until golden. It is a breakfast pastry, a coffee accompaniment, a church potluck contribution, and a fair food. The Yukon Czech Festival, held every October, features kolache in quantities that require the organizing committee to plan months in advance. Oklahoma barbecue occupies the intersection between Texas barbecue to the south and Kansas City barbecue to the north, and has developed its own specific character that is neither and draws from both. The Oklahoma barbecue tradition uses beef brisket and pork ribs, smoked over pecan wood. The pecan is Oklahoma's state tree, and the wood is abundantly available throughout the state, with a sauce that is thicker and sweeter than Texas's minimalist approach, but less aggressively sweet than Kansas City's. The result is a barbecue style that the state describes as its own, without feeling the need to fight Texas or Kansas City about it. Leo's Barbecue in Oklahoma City, founded in 1974 by Leo Smith, an African-American pitmaster from Tulsa, became one of the most celebrated barbecue institutions in the state. The Oklahoma Joe's chain, founded in Tulsa in 1996, became nationally recognized before expanding and rebranding. The barbecue competition circuit that runs through Oklahoma's county fairs and community events every summer is one of the most active in the central United States. Fried okra is Southern food, but it is specifically, deeply, officially Oklahoma food. One of the dishes included in Oklahoma's official state meal, alongside chicken fried steak and the other foods that the state legislature declared representative of Oklahoma cuisine in 1988. A fried okra is a pod of okra, the green, seed-filled vegetable of African origin that the slave trade brought to the American South, sliced into rounds, dredged in seasoned cornmeal, and deep-fried until crispy. The interior is tender and slightly mucilaginous, okra's famous characteristic, but the exterior is crunchy and satisfying in the way that fried corn always is. Oklahoma grows okra throughout the state. The warm, humid summers of eastern Oklahoma are particularly suited to it. The okra that goes into an Oklahoma fried okra comes from the same agricultural tradition as the rest of the official state meal. Food grown and raised in Oklahoma, cooked in Oklahoma, eaten by people who grew up eating it and cannot imagine a summer without it. The Theta burger is a specific Oklahoma City creation, a regional variation on the hamburger that exists primarily within a 50-mile radius of Oklahoma City, and that people who grew up eating it describe with a specific and nostalgic intensity. A Theta burger is a hamburger dressed with yellow mustard, mayonnaise, pickle relish, and a sweet and tangy sauce, a combination that is simultaneously simple and specific. The name comes from the Theta, a drive-in restaurant that served it in Oklahoma City for decades. The format, the specific combination of condiments, spread to other Oklahoma City drive-ins and diners and became a regional standard. The Theta burger is the Oklahoma City answer to the question of how you dress a hamburger. The rest of the country uses ketchup, mustard, and pickle. Oklahoma City uses the Theta combination and considers the distinction meaningful. The smoked meat culture of Oklahoma runs through the state's ranching heritage, its Native American food traditions, and its position at the crossroads of multiple regional barbecue influences. The Chisholm Trail, the great cattle drive route that ran from Texas through Oklahoma to Kansas, passed directly through what is now Oklahoma City. Drovers who moved cattle north stopped in Oklahoma Territory for days and weeks at a time. The beef culture that the trail created established Oklahoma as a place where beef was not an occasional luxury, but a daily reality, where the knowledge of how to cook beef in quantity, over fire, for hours, was as essential as the knowledge of how to raise it. The stockyards of Oklahoma City, now the Stockyards City District, were for decades the largest live cattle market in the world. The restaurants that grew up around the stockyards, Cattleman's Steakhouse most famously, built their menus around beef in every form: steaks, calf fries, chicken fried steak, and the smoked and barbecued cuts that the ranching culture demanded. The pecan is Oklahoma's state tree. The pecan pie is Oklahoma's state dessert. The connection is direct and appropriate. Oklahoma produces significant quantities of pecans. The pecan grows wild throughout the state, particularly in the river bottoms and creek banks of central and eastern Oklahoma, and has been harvested by Native American peoples for thousands of years before European settlement. The Choctaw Nation's relationship with the pecan, a staple food and trade item, predates Oklahoma statehood by centuries. The Oklahoma pecan pie is the southern custard pie of pecans, corn syrup, butter, eggs, and vanilla. The same formula as the Texas and Georgia and Virginia pecan pies, made with Oklahoma pecans that fall from the trees along every creek and river in the state. In autumn, Oklahomans gather pecans from their yards, from roadsides, from the wild trees that have been growing in the river bottoms since before anyone was keeping track. The pecan pie appears at every Oklahoma Thanksgiving table, at every Christmas gathering, at every church supper and school fundraiser. It is the dessert that requires no justification in Oklahoma because the state tree provides the main ingredient and the state designation provides the authority.